and welcome to my Not So British Baking Show.
This is my baker's hat. This is my
baking show. My name is Jessie, and I am a fan of the Great British Baking Show, but clearly I am not British. So today I'm going to be baking some British tea cakes, thanks to my very dear friend and baking goddess, Nancy Birtwistle. We're going to be using her recipe today. A little shout out to Nancy. Here's her book, Sizzle and Drizzle. Originally, I was going to make a Bakewell tart because they are the most classic of all the British tarts. But I made one a couple days ago as practice, and to be honest, they're not very tasty. I mean, it turned out fine. It looked just like the picture and all, had no soggy bottom or anything, but it just didn't taste very good. So I'm not recommending that. So I'm going back to my dear friend Nancy's Yorkshire tea cakes, which I've made a couple of times before, and they are to die for. They're so good. All right, so have fun. You're going to start with 450 grams of bread flour, add 7 grams of yeast and 10 grams of salt to opposite sides of the bowl, 1 egg, 240 milliliters of whole milk, 40 grams of caster sugar, 100 grams of mixed fruit, which includes sultanas and apricots and cherries and other dried things, 40 grams of butter, a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of nutmeg, and then you're going to add some grated lemon zest. My stand mixer has the dough hook on it. Put that down. And there, we're going to mix it on the lowest setting. Just to give it a little bit of mix around. Well, you know what? Sometimes you got to just dive right in. Get her out. There we go. Come on out there, dough. Come on out. All right, there she be. All right, so I'm just gonna give it a little bit of a knead so that it forms a dough, a round ball, and it's really soft once you start working with it. Just wanna make sure that all that butter especially is incorporated into the dough before I pop it in the bowl. I want you all to see how the fruit is all well incorporated into the dough. You can kind of almost just see a tiny little hint of the fruit. You don't want any of the fruit, poking out or anything. Okay, so I'm gonna roll the ball onto itself, get a little flour on it, and then just kind of squeeze it around the edges so that it makes a nice round ball, which makes it rise a little bit better. Okay, now I'm gonna pop it into this nicely oiled bowl, like so. And then this is a Nancy tip. You want to get yourself some shower caps because they cling really nicely to the bowl, and then you don't have to use plastic wrap anymore. Just go like so. Stick it right over there like that. Ta-da! Now I'm going to go jack up the heat in my little apartment so that this little baby will have some nice heat to rise in for about 2 hours. So I'm going to sit back, enjoy my fizzy water, or as my niece calls it, special water, and have a little rest. See you in 2 hours. Happy? So you can tell that this dough is ready to work, is ready to be done, because when I touch it, it immediately springs back and doesn't leave any sort of indentation. If when you touch it, and the dough leaves a little mark inside at all, you know it's not done. So this dough is perfectly ready to be rolled into tea cakes. Here we are. Here's our dough. Knock it out a little bit. Just knock out the extra air. All right. So there we go. So this is about 81 grams, which is what we want it to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it in on itself like this. Can you see that? Just like that. I'm going to fold it in so that when I turn it around, the top is nice and smooth, okay? And I'm just going to roll it around just a bit, give it a little spin, a little twirl like that in the flour, and then I have a nice rounded tea cake. But here's the thing about tea cakes. They want to be flat. They don't want to be round. So we're going to give it a little pat. Tuck in all the fruit. Just like that. Perfect. And we'll leave it to prove again.
This is my mixing spoon, and this is my recipe. I'm ready to go with my mixing bowl, and the baker is me. First I need some.
Start over. A British tea cake should be like your fruited buttery version of an English muffin. So they should be the same shape and size as an English muffin in terms of round and flat. And you do the same thing as you do it with a tea cake as you do with an English muffin. You slice it in half and then you open it up and then you can toast it and then put it with butter or jam or whatever you like. But quick tip about your tea cakes is that when you have your dough and you're about ready to do your second proof, make sure that there is no fruit sticking out. Can you see that? Can you see how there's a little sultana sticking right out? You want to tuck that back in, okay? So you want to make sure that there is dough. Here's another one, little guy that I left out so to show you. You want to make sure that there is dough covering all of your fruit. So like that. That's okay that those, you can see them through the dough, but there's a little film of dough over top of it. They're not naked and sticking out. No naked fruit. All right, so here are my trays of dough rising in plastic bags. When you set your dough to prove in the bags, you want to make sure there's enough air in the bag so that the dough has room to rise, but not too much that there starts to form a film. Okay, so you just want a little bit of air, and then I usually twist it up like this and then fold it underneath the tray so it stays nice and tight. All right, friends, so my tea cakes have been proving for about 45 minutes, almost an hour really at that. So I'm going to open up these, and yes, they look like they've risen nicely. They're super puffy, so I'm going to chuck these babies in the oven. See you in 20 to 25 minutes. All right, now the tea cakes have just come out of the oven, and they took about 22 minutes, I want to say. My oven is a little funny. But here they are. You want them to look perfectly kind of brown on the outside. You don't actually want to see much of the fruit on the outside. You want it all to be tucked in so that when you cut it open, it's that beautiful surprise of the fruit. So, yes. All right, friends, now is the time to open up a tea cake. It's cooled just enough, so here we go. Look at that. Look at that crumb structure. It's just beautiful and airy. See all those holes? And you can see that the fruit is evenly distributed across the bun. Mwah.